Today is Monday, April 17th, 2017, and today I bring you a very sad story that I'm sure many of you have heard about by now, and that is a case of a 74-year-old man named Robert Godwin Sr., who was a father, a grandfather, and a great-grandfather who was essentially killed at random live on Facebook by a man named Steve Stevens, a 37-year-old male, man, whatever you want to call him, demons, what I like to call him. But this happened in Cleveland, Ohio on 93rd Street. Now, this guy, Steve Stevens, before I get more into the story, this guy, Steve Stevens, worked for a place called Beachbrook, and he was like a behavioral health type person. Basically, his job was to try and assist at-risk youth. Like, that was his whole thing. I put a little bit more about them in the box below in the article, but he was showing his badge on the video. He was talking about why he did what he did. Now, I will not play the video of the actual murder here. I have seen it. I did not see the exact moment when he was shot and killed, but I did see everything that led up to it, and I saw some of the aftermath. Now, I will not link to it either, but if you want to find that video, it's out there. I really advise you don't watch that, because we see something like that, it really will affect you in a negative way. So I don't recommend it, but it is out there, but I will not show it. Now, when he was filming himself, first he was in the car. And the car he was driving is a white Ford Fusion, and I'll place that on the screen before you. And I will also place the tag number on the screen before you as well. He bought the car recently, so it's a 30-day tag on it. That tag could be there, or it could have been swapped out. Now, back to the story. When he was in the car, before he approached Mr. Godwin, he was talking to himself, talking about this woman that, I don't know, maybe they had a falling out. She was not giving him the time of day. But he was talking about how he was becoming murderous and wanted to kill people because of that situation that was going on. And he just decided to get out and say, you know, this is an old guy right here. I want to kill him. And he walks up to him and he asks, do you know X, Y, and Z, the woman's name? I assume the man says no. And then he says, well, she's the reason this is about to happen to you. And at that point, that's when he kills him. Senseless, disgusting act. You know, I pray for the family. You know, before I go any further, I say I pray for the family. Robert Godwin, you know, senseless murder. I hope that his son, who talked to the media, will be able to continue on with his life. You know, his grandkids, great grandkids, maybe his other children. I hope they're able just to continue on with their life in a positive way. But this story is far from over. In the actual video where Steve Stevens was talking about, you know, the young lady who was having problems with, talking about killing innocent people, he also said that he killed many others, as many as like 13, if I'm not mistaken. And he was giving out specific places where he had disposed of the bodies, like an abandoned house, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that has not been confirmed. The police did do a press conference, and in the press conference, they said that they went to those places and checked it out, but they were not able to find anything. So I'm not really sure why he was saying that. Maybe because the dude is just crazy in general. That appears to be what's going on here. There's been a lot of blame game going on social media, and a lot of the blame game is being talked about before you can even get to the core of what happened, before we can even get to talking about the family and talking about where this guy is, because the guy, as of right now, was on the run. They've not been able to capture him as of right now today. They did find his cell phone pinged. They didn't find a physical phone, but his cell phone did ping off of the tower in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is about 100 miles east of Cleveland. So he really could be anywhere on the East Coast, because that was quite a while ago. He may be in that general area, but he could be anywhere on the East Coast. And the police said that they have talked to him on the phone since the situation happened. Now, I don't know if that was when he was in Erie or if he was somewhere else, but that information has just come into me. So I don't know what's really going to happen. Hopefully he turns himself in. Now, back to the blame game. It's a lot of that going on. Some of it is actually valid, but some of it is not. You're talking about, the patriarchy. You're talking about masculine toxicity or whatever. Just stupid stuff. Just really kind of like low-seated, low IQ stuff. But there is a pattern going on here with these kind of incidents that happen on Facebook Live. There's always a black male either behind the gun or as a victim of the gun, or both. It's always like that. I mean, we saw what happened with the report. I think that was WDBJ in the Roanoke area in Virginia. We saw what happened when you had the guy Flanagan or Finnegan, whatever his name was, His name does not matter, really. All that matters is that he was filming himself live, killing his coworkers, right? Or his former coworkers. That happened. And then you had a situation not far from where I live right now, where you had some young boys, they were in the car listening to music, smoking or whatever. Then all of a sudden it was a drive-by, and then people, shot. I'm not sure if anybody died. I know one guy is paralyzed now because of that. I mean, it happens all the time. You had a situation in Chicago where you had the BLM kidnapping. You had 3 black males, 1 black female, and 1 white male who was special needs. It was another case in Chicago where a guy was just filming himself outside. All of a sudden he gets shot. You see, these things happen consistently over and over again. And the one common denominator is black males. And the reason why I bring that up is because it makes me as a black male look bad to the whole world, because it's like, okay, you guys are always getting killed or killing each other. And it's not even something that is just an unfounded stereotype. There's videotape evidence of it, and it goes live on Facebook all the time. This is becoming the pattern. I don't see it happen the other way around. Now, some would say, oh, what about the guy who got killed by that cop on camera when the girl was filming? Well, when you're talking about police, that's much different, because a police interaction, the police have authority to use deadly force, but regular civilians do not amongst each other unless it's self-defense. You can't really look at a police situation like that. Now, I'm not saying that the police officer wasn't wrong, but that situation is different than just somebody walking up to somebody and killing them randomly. You see what I'm saying? The police officer may have thought that they were in the right by doing what they did, or it could have been an accident or whatever it is. Just because of the situation is much different. And the same thing, people talking about Tamir Rice in Cleveland, because again, Cleveland, Ohio was where this happened. And also Tamir Rice, that situation happened in Cleveland, Ohio as well. Now, if you're not familiar with Tamir Rice, or if you need a little bit of a refresher, Tamir Rice was like a 12 or 13-year-old boy who had got shot and killed by the police. The police got called in because he had a gun. It was like a fake gun. He was trolling around, pointing it at people. The police pull up, and then they shoot and kill him right away. So people are saying, oh, well, you were able to roll right up on Tamir Rice, shoot and kill him right away, but you can't find the guy who's out here killing innocent people. But it's different, because you're talking about, again, it's the police. The police were called there because of a report of a guy with a gun, right? Now, you could say, well, it was too quick where they shot and killed him or whatever. That's a different discussion, but you can't link the two situations together. Just because Tamir Rice was shot and killed, you can't link that with the guy, Steve Stevens, because this guy, Steve, has a vehicle, right? He's moving around. It's difficult. Tamir Rice was standing stationary, so you can't compare those two things. But people will try to do it all the time. I saw Tariq Nasheed talk about white supremacy and stuff like that. And by the way, that's what he always does. Tariq Nasheed, that's his whole shtick, talking about white supremacy, to get people upset and to get people following him, to hear him say that same thing over and over again. That's pretty much his whole routine. He's a one-trick pony, but I'm going to move on. Now, I saw some more egregious examples of the blame game happening here, and it was this so-called journalist talking about video games.
There is a element of this that makes it look like a video game, because if you think about video games, they're first-person shooters. People in a game, they're having a controller, the gun is in front of them, and they're firing. That is how a lot of young people experience weapons. They experience guns as video games. Unfortunately, a video like this, it has that same perspective, and yet it is so real, and the blood is so real.
Now, I don't know who this guy is, but this guy needs to get fired right away, because video games, like, now you're trying to bring Gamergate into it. You're trying to revive that. You're trying to beat that dead horse. Like, what is the purpose? Like, right now in this situation, why are you going to try to blame video games? Obviously, this guy right here, this guy Stevens, his mind was not right. His mind was not right. He had some other stuff going on that's much deeper than first-person shooters. And really, the truth is, we're talking about video games and first-person shooters and stuff like that. If anything, they relax your mind. They calm you down. They get you out of a state of depression where you want to go out and hurt people or hurt yourself. That's how it was for me. When I found video games again, when I got older, later in life, it really helped me to keep my mind centered and focused. Now, I'm not saying I was going to go out there and hurt anybody. Of course not. What I'm saying is video games really helped me to keep myself focused and centered. It was something just to keep me just going, and it gave me something positive in my life. You understand, when you're playing a video game, it's a first-person shooter, you understand that this is just a video game. This is not real life. you understand how fantasy and reality are not the same. Now, if you are crazy, a deranged demon like this dude Stevens, then maybe you don't understand how fantasy and reality are different. Maybe you don't care about fantasy and reality. Maybe you only just worried about yourself and being selfish. That's all that it is. Maybe you're worried about that young lady that didn't want to respond to you, so you want to go out there and hurt innocent people that try to hurt her. Don't try to blame video games for this dude's crazy, messed up mess, right? Blame him. Blame the person. That's the same thing. Everybody talking about the patriarchy, white supremacy, all this, that, and the third. Even if you're talking about black males, you can point out the pattern, and that's fine. But don't just say, oh, it's because he's black. Oh, it's because of the patriarchy. Oh, it's because of white supremacy. Oh, it's because of the police. This, that, and the third. Nah, you got to point the blame squarely on his shoulders. This man took an innocent man. And I say rest in peace, Mr. Robert Godwin Sr., and God bless his family, his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I saw his son give a very tearful, plea on camera. It was really hard to watch. And that is the effect of people like this that are just roaming the streets. So when this guy gets caught, he needs to get the ultimate penalty, whatever that is. Whether it's him meeting his maker, if he decides to fight the police, or the immediate death penalty once he go to jail. We're talking about death penalty when somebody gets arrested or whatever. I mean, if you got physical hardcore evidence of anything happening like this, I don't think it should be some kind of lengthy process. It shouldn't be able to appeal. It should be instantaneous right away. So that right there would be instant justice, and that would be a deterrent from anybody else to say they want to kill somebody because some young lady did not want to pay them attention. So that's pretty much all I got. I mean, what do you think? Do you think the situation, first of all, I know we all think it's sad. We all think it's just, a horrendous thing. But do you think it could have been avoided? Do you think that maybe there were some signs? I don't know if there was any signs or not. Like I say, I don't know too much about this guy, Steve. But I don't know. I'm really just at a loss for words, honestly. I hope that they're able to find this guy. Do you think that they're taking too long to find him? I mean, I don't know how anybody can say that, because again, he's in the vehicle, he's in the car, he's moving around, and it's not necessarily a very conspicuous car. It's not a kind of car that really sticks out in the crowd. So it's easy for him to maneuver and elude police, especially if his plates have been changed or removed or whatever it is. But I think they're going to be close to finding him and getting this whole matter resolved. But this is really a shame. I don't have too much more to say. I just want to get your thoughts, your viewpoints on it. If I miss any angle, if you've seen anything else, any other crazy blame game going on, like I said, don't try to pass the buck to this, that, and the third. Just blame that individual. Look at him and see what he did wrong, and look at the fault of his life and the mistakes he made in his life that led him to the point where he decided to take the innocent life of a kind old man. Whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
I mean, he's a good guy.
Very retarded.
Keep the shirt off his back. And I'm not just saying that for these cameras, like people do, knowing that they people really ain't right, but I'm telling the truth. This man right here was a good man.